Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. Today in this video, I will show you how to create a SharePoint list using PowerShell, and I will cover everything from renaming the title column and adding different types of column and deleting the SharePoint list if it is already exist. Now let me introduce myself. I am Harita, working as a Power Platform consultant. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe for more tutorials on SharePoint and PowerShell. Before understanding the script, let's take a look at the SharePoint list that we will be creating now. Here is the SharePoint list named Tsinfo user registrations. As you can see, it includes several columns that I have defined here, like user ID, password, first name, last name, phone number, and email, etc. And here I change title column as a user ID, and then I made this first name column as a required column by making it as a true, and for last name email also I made it as a required columns. And here department is a choice column which is having the following department names, and here set as admin is an yes or no column. Now that you have a clear picture of this list structure, let's move on to the PowerShell script that will create this list for us. To run the PowerShell script, here I am using Visual Studio Code Editor. In our script, we started by defining some variables that store SharePoint site URL and user credentials and name of the SharePoint list that we are going to create now. And then I defined an array to store all the columns we want to add to our SharePoint list, and this array includes each column names and type and other additional settings. Here for the name, I took display name and internal name, and for the data type, and here I took the data type. And then, as I said before, I need to make first name, last name, and email as a required column. So that's why I took this required parameter. And here for the department name, to provide the department names, I took another parameter that is choices, which is having all the department names. Next, I created one function for renaming the title column. Here, this function took two parameters. One is list name and another one is the new title name. With the help of the set PnP field command, I am renaming the title column by passing this new title name parameter to this title. And then I created another function to create a SharePoint list, and this function took three parameters. One is list name and another one is the columns and new title name. So with the help of this new PnP list command, I am creating a SharePoint list. And here on quick launch parameter is used to make the SharePoint list visible on the navigation. After creating the list, it will display one successful message like a list is created. And then I am calling this rename title column function here. As I actually, when we create a SharePoint list, by defaultly the title column will be created. So we just need to rename it if we want it. So after creating, I am renaming the title column, and then for adding all the columns to the SharePoint list, here I am using for each loop. For each loop, and this columns variable contains this array which is storing all the columns details. Here with the help of the add PnP field command, I am going to add the SharePoint list columns. And here, as you can see, I am providing one condition, that is column type is equal to the choice. Why I have given this condition is, with the help of this add PnP field command, we can able to add the columns, but we cannot add values to that columns. For example, in our case, we have department as a choice column. So when I use only this command, it will only add that column to our SharePoint list, but it won't add the values. So that's why first I am adding that choice column, and then with the help of the set PnP field command, here I am adding values to that choice column. With the help of this values parameter, I am assigning choice values to that choice column. And then if type of column is not choice, then control comes here, remaining all columns will be added here. And then, as I said before, I need to make first name, last name and email columns as I required. So here again I am providing another condition, that is if uh, column dot required is equal to the true, then with the help of this set PnP field command, I am making those columns as I required. After adding all the columns, it will display this message. And then I create one function for deleting the SharePoint list if it is already exist. Here this function took list name as a parameter, and here with the help of this get PnP list command, I am checking whether the SharePoint list is present or not. If it is present, it will be stored in this variable. And one more thing is, to delete the SharePoint list permanently from the recycle bin, the user must have the site collection administrator permissions. If the user don't have these permissions, he cannot able to delete the SharePoint list. Here, with the help of remove PnP list command, I am deleting the SharePoint list that will be moved to the recycle bin. To delete the SharePoint list from the recycle bin also, here I am using try catch block. Within the try block, if the user have that site collection administrator permissions, then with the help of this get PnP recycle bin item, I am checking whether the SharePoint list present or not in the recycle bin. Within the here row limit is 100, so it will check up to 100 records only. If we provide more than 100 means it will check up to that records. And here with the help of clear PnP recycle bin item command, we are deleting the SharePoint list permanently from the recycle bin also. If the user don't have any permissions, then it will display one failed message. And then I created another function to check whether the SharePoint list is present or not. And this function took three parameters. One is list name, another one is columns, and new title name. Here, as I said before, get PnP list command is used to check the SharePoint list present or not. If it is present, it will be stored in this variable. And then if the list is present, here I am calling the delete list if a exist function here. This function I am calling here. So control will goes to that function and it delete it permanently. And then after deleting, we need to create the SharePoint list. So that's why here I am calling this create list function, which we have created at the starting. So after this one, with the help of this connect PnP online command, I am connecting with the SharePoint site by passing the site URL and credential variables to this URL and credentials parameters. After connecting the SharePoint list, I am calling this function. And here you can see for the new title name parameter, I am passing the value as a user ID. Now let's run the code. Here you can see the list is created. Message it is displaying. Now let's check the SharePoint site. Here you can see the SharePoint list is created successfully and columns also added. Let's check whether the first name and last name columns are made it as a required. See, this one also made. And for the department column, all the values also aligned. You can have this PowerShell script in the description box below. Let's run the PowerShell script. So we will check whether the script is deleting the SharePoint list or not. And you can see that it is deleting the SharePoint list, and again it is creating that SharePoint list. And now you can see again the SharePoint list is created with all the columns. Let's check the recycle bin once. See, it is deleted permanently from recycle bin also, and we can also check in the second stage. So here also it is not presented. This way we can create the SharePoint list, and we can also delete the SharePoint list if it is already exist. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe this channel.